Okay, we're gonna go through how to make a simple test strip and a contact sheet. So here I am in the darkroom, and you can see I have set my setup. So what do you need? You need your negatives. You need a glass sheet that you're going to get from over here, or in darkroom 3, they're also on the counter. You've got your glass sheets, you've got your 1.5 filters, and you also have some boards, which we don't need yet. So the glass sheets and the filters are here. So I've got my glass sheet, I've got my negatives, I've got my 1.5 filter on the negative carrier. Remember, make sure this is centered well in your light so that you don't end up having a shadow from the negative carrier on your print. All right, you want to come over here and you want to check your timer. Is your timer on? No, it's not on. So we're going to flip the switch here at the top to turn it on, and we're going to do a little quick setup. So remember, we have these buttons over here. So these we don't really necessarily need to touch. This is your light, high, low, all that stuff. But down here, we do need to touch these. This one on the left, we want to make sure it is off. We don't want that buzzer going off because it's annoying. We also want to make sure over here that we have focus mode and we have timer mode. So if now I'm doing this in the light, not doing this in the dark, so you can actually see what I'm doing, but you would be in the dark room doing this. So the first thing we want to do is we're going to turn this on to focus mode so that the light stays on. And you can see the light is shining down here at my paper. Now, in the dark, it's a little easier to see, but what we want to do is we want to make sure that the circle that we see of light here, so I'm going to turn this all the way up so that maybe we can see it. It's harsh, it's hard to see, but we want to make sure that it's big enough to cover our whole glass. If you're cutting it close, if you've got shadow coming right up to your corner here, what you're going to do is you want to raise your enlarger. So you're going to spin this knob. You're going to have a key right here on some of these enlargers, like this one right here. You might have to loosen this key or tighten this key first in order to turn your knob to make it go higher or lower. Don't force this. It can whack this thing out of alignment. So undo the key, twist it up, and then tighten the key again once you get to the height you need it to be at, okay? On this one, I don't have a key, so it's just going to stay like that. So now we know that it's high enough. I have my negatives here. They are the right way, shiny side up, with my name and my roll number at the top here, labeled so I can see them. And I have my filter in here. I've made sure that my my negative carrier area is closed. The light doesn't come out. And I'm set at 15 seconds. And up here, I want to make sure that my aperture is set at, this is a base time. So I'm going to do the lowest and then up 1 notch. Okay, so F11 is what it should be at to try your first test strip. Okay, once you've got all those things set, then you can come over here and put it back onto timer mode. And we have 15 seconds, F11, filter, glass, and my negatives. So what I want to do now is I'm just going to lift up my glass. I'm going to flip this up for a second, make sure it doesn't fall because that would break and be bad. And I'm going to take my test strip out of my light safe box. And if you don't have any test strips left, you can take a full piece of paper over to your cutting board over here. And there's one in darkroom 3 as well. And you're going to take this paper and put it all the way back at this back bar back here. And you're going to cut this underneath this bar into 4 even sections. So you have 4 test strips. Is a good amount to get out of one piece of paper. Okay, I'm using a used piece of paper so I don't ruin anything. All right, so I have a test strip here. I'm going to put it underneath my photo paper. So it's vertical there. That way I get a test of every single one of these rows. I don't want to lay it this way because that would only give me 1 row. I want to see everything. I want to see a little bit from each part. Okay? Then I'm going to put my glass back down just to hold it flat. Make sure it's centered on the board here. And I'm going to press go. And it's going to expose for 15 seconds. And then once it's done, if you make sure you have your buzzer off because we don't want to hear that noise. light turns off. You lift this up, take this off for now, and take your test strip, and you're going to run it through the chemicals. You're going to first put it in your developer for 2 minutes, right? Then you're going to put it in your stop bath, which will be next for 20 seconds, and you'll put it in your fixer for 5 minutes, and then you'll end up having it in the wash for 10 minutes. Now, if you start looking at this print in your developer as it's developing and you start to realize it's too light, it's not dark enough, it's not looking good, you can stop right there and throw it in the trash. Try not to get developer everywhere, just, you know, shake it off first, but you can go ahead and stop right there and try another one. If it's too light, like this one is here, what you're gonna do, right? You're gonna make it darker. To make it darker, we either need more light, so we could turn our aperture up a stop to maybe F8, or you can do more time. I would suggest with this one, because it's so light, you go up a stop here first and see how that goes for you, keeping it at 15 seconds, and try it again, okay? If you end up with a contact sheet that's too dark, we need to do the opposite, right? We need less light. So we can either turn our aperture down, or we can turn our time down. So maybe you only do 10 seconds instead of 15 seconds. So try it out. That's why we're doing a test strip, so that you can see what your proper time and aperture is. And once you figured out what that is on a small piece of paper, which is your test strip, then you're going to do your full contact sheet. So then you will take a full piece of paper, put it underneath your contact sheet, make sure it's lined up correctly under your glass, and expose it for the amount of time that you figured out was right with your test strips, okay? That's how you do a test strip and a contact sheet. This is a simple test strip just for contact sheets, all right? One last thing I did not mention, and I want to make sure you do, is please write your name, your aperture, and your time, and your filter on the back of every test strip. That way you can remember, once they're all together at the end, you can remember which one was what, okay? So that's why I keep a Sharpie back here with me, and I take notes, okay? All right, that is how you make a contact sheet and a